curators kind of hold it together for the artist to come. And when it comes to actually selling art and putting it in the hands of a collector, it's the no-name, unseen person in the background that's actually making that happen. And I think as a curator, like, I really don't care if people know who I am, because my whole thing is making sure that artists get recognition and they're selling. Because for me, if I die and nobody knows who I am, but the arts are better off, it's perfect. That's the best legacy I could ever want to give to anything, is just know that somehow I affected the arts to make it better, to know that the general public is collecting art and that artists are living and not starving. Mm-hmm. I don't care if nobody knows my name. That's perfect to me. So, just cremate me and throw me somewhere, and I'm good with that. So I know that's not like I know a lot of curators that are like really pompous and they want it. They're selling their brand. If you look at the blue chip galleries, they're selling their brand. They're selling their image, and that's what helps them sell the artwork for this, really expensive art. And I think that's a long gone. I mean, for the real markets in the U.S., I don't think that should be happening. So
I want to mention something that I've said, and this isn't my personal thought. This is me quoting somebody else. The rich sell to the poor, and the poor sell to the rich. And I think a lot of the galleries used to sell to the rich, and now it's really switching.
Yeah. Like
they're realizing that they're making more money.
Well,
if they're making it readily available to.
Well, it really depends on. I mean, there's 3 tiers of the art gallery. So you have, like, in Portland, the PATA, which is Portland Art Dealers Association. Those are the 10 blue chip galleries. That's unattainable art for the general population of Oregon. Like maybe 1/10 of 1% of Oregonians can buy the art that's in those galleries. It's out of our reach.
And you said those are like 60s and 70s art, right?
Well, the time period of the genre of art that they're showing in there is, abstract, like Rothko. Like Portland loves to celebrate Rothko, and Rothko's, that's all right. That put him in the museum and stop celebrating Rothko. Just put him in the museum where he needs to be, and stop pushing that abstract-esque bullshit. I mean, I don't want that in my house. I want art that means something to me. I want, it's like there's a need for a return to art that says something, instead of just like, I painted a picture, and then when the gallerist asked me what's it mean, I made something up on the spot, and that's what I went with. Because that's what most abstract artists do. They'll lie and say, oh well, right, I intended it to be this, and which is all bullshit. That's all made up.
If you say this is what it meant to me after I created it, I understand that. Unless if you have raw emotion during the process of creation.
I think a lot of artists, they know. Like when you create your pieces, you have some sort of a vision in your pieces, even if you don't know. Like it may be a subconscious vision of what you want to do, where you know.
Or is it as it comes together, I'll start figuring out what it means. I don't necessarily have a thing to start with, but when I begin and the things are starting to come together, then it starts to take on a meaning for me.
And that's another difference between the two of us. Especially when I paint, I have an idea of what I'm going for. Yeah. And if the further away from the idea that I had in my mind, the less perfect the piece is to me.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what other people see in it. I was just trying to create my vision.
Yeah.
And I think Christopher is trying to figure out what his body can create.
Yeah, after talking to Westfall. What's his first name? Westfall.
The landscape artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually kind of woke me up to something. What was I gonna say? I forget now. But I forget now. Sorry.
It's all right. I do that all the time. I'll tell you what.
So we'll watch this later, and we'll remember exactly.
I
what it is
remember.
in
I'm
this
blushing right now because I can't remember.
Okay.
But
so
well, yeah. For me, he said something about himself being a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he talked about how he remembers things from when he was a kid,
Yeah, when he was
and
a
all
kid,
the
when he was
emotions
like 10
still
or
come
whatever,
out. And
yeah.
I was like, I do the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
And
Something
if you look
that
at my
wasn't
room,
perfect.
if you look at my room, my car, everything about me is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I do think that I'm a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm such a bad perfectionist that I don't even try a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even make
It's
the effort.
discouraging
because it's
how,
not gonna be
how
perfect.
you want stuff to be, so you just give up.
I
So
think
in
that's
my
hard
art-
for artists, though.
In
I
my-
haven't met an artist that's not a perfectionist.
Really?
Yeah.
It's hard. But in my art, I deliberately avoid trying to create something that I have in my head because I know I can't do it. I just can't do it. So for me, it's more of a discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Like as I start to draw, you know, I'll be trying to work on something, you know, like, you know, the bush. I have a painting of the bush that's right here. You know, and it ain't perfect, and that's the best I could do, you know. But it's not.
All right,
perfect.
this is the painting of the bush, and this is the real bush right behind it. And it looks fucking really fucking close to me.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but god damn it, who knows that?
Representational.
And when I, you know, and I did it, it's kind of like an impressionist, maybe, you know. And I see all kinds of flaws in it, but at the same time, I see a charm in the fact that it's flawed. You know,
It's a physical piece of art that was created by an individual. Which, I mean, putting a price on a piece of soul like that is almost ungodly. Like, it's
So hard.
It's almost, I would say it's a sin because it doesn't have a price. It's priceless. It's a piece of art created by an artist of that time, of that period, of that exact fucking moment. It doesn't have a price. It's priceless. And if you are lucky enough to come across a piece like that, no matter how flawed or perfect it is, it's a piece of their life at that time.
well, let me say this: that piece is perfect. It's not perfect to me, but as it sits, it's perfect.
It
You
is
know,
what
I mean,
it is.
it is what it is.
Someone's gonna see that and say, "Oh, I'd like to have that. That's perfect to me." And that's the beautiful thing about art, because a lot of artists are like, I don't know, I'd get pieces for a show and they're like, I think I should have done something else, and they second guess it, and then it sells, and then it's like, well, who cares? It's going unfinished in your mind. It's going finished in someone else's mind to their house with them.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to get to a place where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. And
What was the last piece that you sold? Was it the giraffe?
Yeah. $50. I don't have a photograph of it either.
I don't
I hate that.
Who's this guy?
I don't have a piece. I couldn't tell you the last piece that I sold. Was there somebody come
Yeah,
up to
I
her?
know. I was gonna say the same thing. It's been about a year since I sold anything.
The last piece that I sold was a piece that I created. 2008. I sold it to a collector in Seattle.
I mean,
But it was like I sold it for like